Okay, I looked it up. And apparently the author is doing this for some sort of character development that we didn't get in the show. I had to say, is it really worth it to make Twilight lose a brother and Cadence a widow? Sonic groaned and looked desperately at Twilight, whispering, Twilight, you know him. Can you reel him in before he makes this any worse? Twilight was still a bit annoyed at the way Shadow was treating her brother, looked at Sonic with a confused expression and whispered, What are you talking about? What? She was interrupted when Shadow uncrossed his arms and finally spoke. It's a matter I've chosen to move on from. It has nothing to do with this. Shining asked, Where are you moving on from? Are you saying it was a lie? That something someone gave you was wasted on you? That you don't care for them? Shining, you're a newlywed. Why are you making Cadence a widow? Shadow's eyes widened for a second at that, before they narrowed and he asked, What did you just say? Shining yelled, You heard what I said. Whoever you're talking about, it sounds like she would have been better off not knowing you. And Shining's a dead man. Now Ruse was starting to look worried. Oh my, this is going to end well, she murmured. So I blame him, Omega asked. Ruse placed her right hand on his left arm, hissing, Omega, shush! Shadow glared at Shining armor over his shoulder. Oh really? Is that what you think? Shining replied, Maybe it is. She must have done a lot for you. Do you ever do anything for her? Shadow turned around completely, still glaring at Shining armor. Ignorance, he growled. Shining raised his eyebrow. What? Shadow started to take slow steps towards the stallion as he spoke. If there's one thing I can't stand, it would be ignorance. Ignorance that causes people to simply assume they know what is fact. Ignorance that prevents people from opening their eyes and considering for just a moment that not everything is as simple as it seems. As he took another step, red aura and chaos energy began to envelop him, surrounding him with a red glow. And you reek of it. Shining began to sweat as he noticed the aura surrounding Shadow. It was like the air itself was trembling around the hedgehog as he walked. Shining managed to ask, What are you talking about? Shadow kept walking, his teeth bared as he glared. You think a lot of things are simple, don't you? What reason do you have to think otherwise? I'm sure you hold a high position, and you have a good relationship with your sister. You both probably had a nice upbringing. Not all of us are lucky to get that, you know. Shining began to back up as saw it was just arm's length away. Espio noticed that Gilda was directly in his path, and she was as stunned as everyone else what was happening in front of her. If she didn't move, Shining was going to bump into her, and that certainly wasn't going to stop Shadow from whatever he was planning. Glanced quickly at Silver and gestured at Gilda, whispering, Silver! The Silver Hedgehog looked back where he was gesturing and picked up what he was getting at. His hands lit up and he used his psychokinesis to lift Gilda up, moving her out of the side of the way. The Griffin was so stunned she barely rested the fact someone had lifted her up. Oblivious to anyone or anything behind him, Shining kept backing up, stuttering, What? Shadow kept walking towards him, saying, I didn't have parents, per se. I had creators. One wanted to find a way to save the life of someone precious, and for me to be a savior. The other wanted me to deliver what he wanted to him, and for me to be the destroyer. I was introduced to the one who the former wanted to save. She did more for me than you can imagine, and she didn't properly know all the things you take for granted. She didn't know what it was like to have the wind blow past her, to see the blue sky above her, to just live. And she never got a chance due to their ignorance. I tried to save her when they wanted to silence everyone who knew about me. No matter what happened, her safety was more important to me than anything. And yet, Shadow paused. Shining's leg suddenly made contact with the edge of the fountain, and he fell into a sitting position on top of it with a grunt. I love that everybody realizes just how fucked Shining is and how powerful Shadow is, that nobody's touching him. Not a second passed before Shadow slowly reached up with his left hand and grabbed him by the neck, pulling him down to her, looking each other in the eye. Shining silver as he could barely see Shadow's eyes through the glow around him. The Black Hedgehog growled. Do you know what it feels like to be ready to give your life for someone if it means saving them? only for them to do it for you. He moved his head closer as he demanded, do you know how it feels to see someone who means more to you than anything lying in there in front of you hurt, and you could do nothing but watch them die? An incredibly tense moment passed before Twilight managed to ask, you're talking about Maria, aren't you? Shadow's head snapped up at that, and he turned to look directly at Twilight as he asked, how do you know about Maria? She flinched. The anger and force of his words, while not as strong as before, were still present. Sonic spoke up, I'm sorry, Shadow, but while we were running around earlier, we saw a few things from the past. One of them was Eggman's demonstration of the Eclipse Cannon's power. Spike and the girls weren't sure what to think, so we told them about you and Gerald. But I only told Twilight, Spike, and Scootaloo. Tails of his hands class nodded, and I only told Applejack and Rainbow Dash. We only told them so that, in case we ran into you, they wouldn't think you were the bad guy. I swear, we didn't tell anyone else the whole story. Shadow stared at the three of them, his face and mask hiding any indicators of what was going through his head. A few seconds later, he turned back to Shining Armor, glared down for a moment, then abruptly released his neck while turning around, letting the stallion let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. And you people compare him to Vegeta. No. If anything, Shadow's way more Sasuke. Cadence immediately wrapped herself around him once Shadow had walked a few steps, but they both stiffened when he stopped and spoke. Let me give you a piece of advice. There's nothing wrong with loving someone, but it doesn't give you an excuse to not pay attention to everything else, especially others that are important to you. Forgetting what's really important blinds you and makes you prone to anger. I think you'll find that the things we say we end up regretting the most are the things we say in anger. He looked back over his shoulder at Shining Armor, because they're often the last things we ever say to someone. He faced forward and started walking again, moving towards Sonic, Twilight, Tails, and Spike. As he approached them, he said, as for you. They all tensed up slightly, expecting him to do something. Instead, to their surprise, the glow around him simply vanished as he walked in front of them. He passed them while saying, I understand what you try to do, and while it's not necessary, I do appreciate your understanding and concern. He then continued on, rejoining Omega and Rouge. As they all watched Team Dark leave, Tails nervously nodded. That turned out better than I expected to. Sonic sighed, yeah. Everyone, save for Shining Armor, Princess Cadence, and Gilda, moved closer to them, fairies and mosses playing over their faces. Even Pinkie seemed somewhat somber at the moment, her cotton candy mane peacefully defeated. Shady? The Pink Pony whispered. Verity huffed. Goodness, was that all really necessary? Espio said, wow, considering that the most important human in Shadow's life was dishonored, I can't help but feel it was warranted. Maria means far too much for him for anyone to do such a thing to her. First I whispered, he must really miss her. Sonic sighed. He doesn't talk about her as much as he used to, but I'll never forget her again. His time with her, those are probably going to remain the happiest moments in his long life. No surprise, though, considering one of his creators wanted him to be his servant. The military shut down his home and locked everyone who knew about him, and he was locked away for 50 years straight after losing Maria to them. All in such a short time, too. You know, when I kept hearing everybody talk about how emo or edgy Shadow was and this and that and all this other malarkey, I thought they were talking about how he was too devoted on Maria. Imagine my shot when it seems like some of the people who complain about Shadow don't know who she is. This goes to show you. Pay attention to the characters you insult. Spike and the ponies looked at each other uneasily. Applejack, Spike, Twilight, and Rainbow all heard the story of Shadow's past. But hearing it again after seeing the one who had to live through it all, it was different, to say the least. Now, everything the Black Hedgehog did and said made some sense. He was supposed to be strong, perfect, to never show weakness. But like everyone else, he had his moments where the emotions he tried to keep at bay got loose, and caused him to lose his composure. Princess Celestia and Luna probably knew that all too well. Speaking of his sisters, they were looking at each other sadly. When Sonic had said that Shadow had a long life ahead of him, that could have meant anything, but there was one thing they thought when they heard that. Never-ending life. They wondered if Shadow was an immortal like they were. It's so they could relate to what he was going through. Even though Luna's banishment and her later return, the sisters tried to maintain the composure that was expected to them, no matter how they actually felt. Despite everything they knew and had seen, they couldn't help but feel sorry for the Black Hedgehog. They at least grew up with their mother and father before dangers like King Sabra and Discord came into their lives. But Xiao didn't even get that. Everything after his awakening had happened so fast, they couldn't even guess how that felt. Behind them, even as she clutched her husband closer, Cadence could not bring herself to feel any anger for the Black Hedgehog. As the Princess of Love, she could tell when someone was actually in love versus someone who claims they were in love. And while Xiao's words had been laced with anger and frustration, she could still sense the love he had for this Maria in them. She almost wondered if it was a love greater than the one she said was shining. How did this get so shadowy? Gilda finally brought the side, speaking in a low tone. Hey, you guys are gonna be fighting your own, right? Sonic nodded. Yeah, we should be. Gilda nodded before turning away. Where you going, Chi? Griffin was silent for a moment before replying. I'm gonna find something to do. Something other than napping on a cloud. Something worthwhile. She spread her wings and took off, leaving the group alone next to the fountain. Everyone stood in front of the 3-story hospital, Tails looking down at his radar while Blaze had her eyes closed as he held her left hand up. Flames she had created floating above it. Pinkie's mane was back to fully to his cotton candy appearance, the party pony having managed to cheer up. After the group moved on from the fountain, her cheery attitude had managed to rub off on the others soon afterwards, though they could still remember Xiao's moment of anger. His shining armor was still thinking about it. Sonic looked at Tails after a moment and asked, Well, Tails? The fox replied, Well, I can't zero in on the portal anymore at this point, but according to this... He raised his head and pointed to the left from their view, side of the hospital. The radar indicates it's in the east wing. Blaze murmured, Yes. Everyone looked over at her and saw her open her eyes, close her left hand in a fist, the flame above it disappearing as he did so. I sense something coming from that direction as well. I believe it's coming from the second floor, she stated. Fed across his arms. Spoil sports! SBO glanced at him. We don't have time to turn into a hospital upside down, just because you want to play Detective Vector. Luna nodded. Yes. The sooner we are done, the sooner your world and the Equestria will be restored. Sonic looked at Rainbow, Blaze, Tails, Silver, and SBO and shrugged. I guess we should go on ahead and find it, huh? Rainbow struck back. Guess so. Come on, we'll go this way. She spread her wings and flew out to the window over the front doors of the 3rd floor. She flew inside. Sonic, Blaze, SBO, Tails, and Silver looked at each other for a moment before following her. Sonic, Blaze, and SBO jumping up into the awning onto the doors before leaping up into the window, while Tails and Silver flew up to it. Victor opted to stay with the others and followed them through the front doors into the hospital's waiting room. When they reached the 2nd floor of the east wing, they found Sonic waiting for them on room 2. Strangely enough, they could hear the sound of talking coming from the room. What's going on in there? Twilight asked. Sonic replied, Maybe you should see for yourself. He pushed the door open with his hand and walked inside, Spike and the ponies following him inside. Inside the room, they could see Blaze, Rainbow, Silver, SBO, and Tails standing around the bed Rainbow had been in when she broke her wing. I understand what you're saying, but I do not think it'd be wise to move the bed. When the cutter comes back, what will the patient think? Blaze was asking, gesturing to the pony in bed. Well, we could put it back before we leave. It'll still be in the room. It's not like we're going to push it out the window or anything, Das replied. Tis just say he's prone to nervousness. They mention he often says that ponies are trying to steal his slippers. Coming back to life and having his bed lifted would be rather disorienting for him, Blaze argued. What are y'all going on about? Applejack asked. SBO, Silver, and Tails turned away from Blaze and Rainbow as they too looked towards the door, nosing the others for the first time. SBO cleared his throat. Apologies. We have a bit of a situation here. Celestia stepped forward and asked, What is it? Tails pointed at the bed. Nice portals under there on the floor. Rainbow and Silver should move the bed so it's quick so everybody can reach it. Especially you, Luna, Vector, Cadence, and Shining Armor, Princess Celestia. Blaze isn't certain that's a good idea, though. Rainbow spoke up. There isn't a lot of room under there. It might be cramped for some of us if we had to go under the bed. Celestia reassured her. Thank you for thinking of us, Rainbow Das. Well, it's quite all right. I'm sure we can all get under bed just fine, and leave the patient no worse for wear. Rainbow replied, All right, Princess Celestia, as long as you're sure. Hang her on. Silver asked, so, I don't have to move it now? SBO shook his head in response. Sonic shrugged. Well, that was quick. Let's get going then. He walked over to the side of the bed and sat down on the floor, thrusting his legs under it. As he went under the bed, he said, try to go so you'll land on the right side up. He then went through the portal as he went fully under the bed. Rainbow followed after him, going 4 legs forward through the portal. Blaze went as well as the rest followed. Soon, Celestia, Cadus, Luna, and Shining Armor were the only ones left. Celestia went first, having to press herself against the floor to get from underneath the bed. When she finally went through the portal, Luna went next, the younger sister having less trouble working her way under the bed. Cadus and Shining Armor followed them. After they were all gone, the 3 fillies stuck into the room. Oh! A second after he went through the portal, Shining toes came into contact with the metal. The stallion stood straight up next to his wife. They looked around and found that they were standing in a large, square-shaped room made of metal, and the others had spread out, looking around. Shining and Cadus tried over to Rainbow Dash and Twilight, as the former looked at Sonic and Tails and asked, where are we? Tails, looking around, replied, this kind of reminds me of the receiving station for the space elevator we took to get out to Eggman's Interstellar Amusement Park. But we're not there. This is a different station. Not sure what this is for. SBO walked over and pointed to a pair of metal sliding doors. Then I guess we'll find out where we are once we step through those doors. Everyone came back together at the end, and they started for the doors. As they got close, Blaze stopped and sniffed the air. A moment later, she said, strange. I can smell something fresh on the other side of these doors. The air stopped to look at her. What do you mean by fresh, Blaze? Silver asked. Before the princess could respond, Pinkie turned, ooh, gumdrops! Everybody looked at her, the pink pony looking at an ear that slipped up the gumdrops on the floor with her tongue. Sonic raised an eyebrow. Sweet smells? Gumdrops lying on the ground? After a moment, he puts his left hand against his forehead. Oh, I know where we are. Twilight looked at him and asked, really? Where? Sonic glanced up at a nearby loudspeaker and took his hand off his head, holding up all his fingers pointing up. Twilight watched the confusion as he counted down the seconds with his fingers. Where are you? Sonic hit 0 before he could finish, and he lowered his hand to the side as a familiar voice crackled through the loudspeaker. Welcome to Sweet Mountain. Insulin will be provided at material extra cost, and by marginal, we mean enormous. He'll smile. Boy, we're at Sweet Mountain. Serious city time. Sonic's lip dropped. I know you loved this place when we were here, Tails. Well, we might have a few problems this time. As he said that, his eyes moved in Pinkie's direction. The pink pony having standing up straight was he heard Sweet Mountain, Sugar City. Tails looked confused at that, not sure what the problems the Blue Hedgehog was referring to. Applejack looked at him and asked, hi, why did Eggman call this place Sweet Mountain? Sonic replied, you'll see why when we get outside. He walked over to the doors, which began to slide open as he approached them. Blinking rapidly and holding his hand up to his eyes as the sun hit them, he stepped outside. Tails was right behind him, Twilight and Tails following him. As her vision cleared, Twilight got her first look at Sweet Man, and her eyes went wide. Oh, wow, was all she could mutter. The others followed them out, and except for Silver, all were equally shocked at what they saw. All around them, as far as the eye could see, were confectionaries of all sizes, intermixed with what appeared to be machines and rides. There were life-size gingerbread men and candy canes, cakes that could very well have been the size of mountains, and huge jelly beans and other candies being carried away on conveyor belts. And they only just set hoof on the planet. Elzak gasped, well done. That answers my question, isn't it? Is it all real? Tails nodded, totally. And except for the stuff Eggman had, just about everything here is edible. Rainbow looked at Sonic and asked, is this a whole planet? Sonic glanced up at the sky and said, that's right. Since I don't see any cotton candy clouds, I know it's not the other candy land I've seen. He then looked at the others. Rarity, Fluttershy, Shiny, and Cadence were all staring with their mouths open. SBO had joined Blaze and Silver in remaining calm after the initial shock wore off. And Vector, Spike, and Sonic's surprised Celestia were eyeing some of the confections, licking their lips. Celestia was particularly fond of the giant cakes. The look on Luna was showing her sister made him think their reaction was pretty common. Finally, Sonic looked at the pony whose reaction he was worried about the most, Pinkie Pie. She was sitting on her haunches, rubbing her hose together in front of her, mouth hanging wide open, her tongue dangling out. Her eyes held a look that Sonic had never seen before, one that indicated it was time to man the lifeboats because the SS Pinkie was about to sink. Pretty soon, the reality of where they were caught up to everyone. Pinkie's friends looked at her nervously, noticing the look on her face.
Pinkie?
Firefly answered.
Spike groaned. Oh, man. Looks like she's gonna burst any second now.
Tails murmured, uh-oh. He at last realized what the problem Sonic was thinking of, and was now nervous along with everybody else.
Well, please don't let something set her off, not now,
he thought to himself. If anyone or anything had heard his mental plea, it went unanswered. The excellent's voice came through another loudspeaker. We hope you're enjoying this sunny day here at the park. Sadly, a sunny day once again means that the Choco Coaster is out of service, due to melting. That did. Pinkie's eternal dam burst as she reared up on her hind legs and let out a resounding Yee-hoo! Though her scream was not nearly as loud as the time she used her super megaphone, it was still loud enough to cause everyone to shut their eyes and cover their plugged their ears. Even Celestia was broken out of her trance by it. By the time they opened her eyes, Pinkie Pie had disappeared from her spot. Twilight looked down the path and saw a flash of pink disappear inside the cake. Pinkie! She called before taking off after her. Rainbow Dash flying above her. Hey, wait! Sonic exclaimed, while running after them. Everyone else soon take off after them, nosing that three little fillies poked their heads out the door. Rainbow and Twilight hurried down the path, nosing the sweets along the sides of the path either had bite marks on them or had been eaten. It was easy to see that Pinkie's sweet tooth fan was already working overtime. Meanwhile, the path changed to metal, Twilight running across the grating while Rainbow flew alongside her. The grating soon gave way to ordinary metal, and Twilight came to a stop, panting a bit while Rainbow landed beside her and looked around, asking, Shoot! Where did Pinkie Pie go? Once Twilight had her breathing back under control, Sonic came up behind him and asked, Any sign of her? Twilight looked back at him and replied, No, she's already gone. There's no telling where she could be right now. So he looked around and noticed a huge cake with strawberries on it nearby. Distant to pipes, huge donuts, and some odd-looking missiles. Wow, what is this place? Sonic shrugged. I don't know. Maybe it's where they make the donuts? Rainbow looked at some of the donuts being held up and nodded. Pinkie likes donuts, but I haven't seen these touched. Maybe we'll still show up here then. She stopped short when a shadow suddenly fell over her, three of them. Hey, how'd they get dark all of a sudden? She asked. Sonic looked up and his eyes widened. Look out! He cried, grabbing Twilight and Rainbow Dash and pulling them back, before they all dropped to the ground and covered their heads. A second later, there was a loud explosion behind them. A few seconds later, Applejack and the others had caught up, staring at the strange sight before them. Sonic, Twilight, and Rainbow Dash were lying on the ground, still covering their heads, while their backsides were covered in confetti and various candies. Y'all okay? Applejack asked, causing the three of them to look up and uncover their heads. Sonic replied, Yeah, we just missed getting hit by a missile loaded with goodies, that's all. He then rose to his knees while Twilight and Rainbow raised themselves to a sitting position. He then ran his left hand through his quills and pulled out something out for after a moment. Jolly Rancher. You know, while looking at the green candy. He then looked at Rainbow and said, Hey, Dash, I think you got a fruit roll-up in your hair. Rainbow ran a hose through her mane at that, while Twilight did the same. So he soon extracted the sleep from her hair, while the lavender unicorn found the Laffy Taffy in her stripes.
What is this? Is this candy?
Rainbow asked.
Tails offered, I'll eat you not want it.
Rainbow glared at him.
You didn't say I was gonna eat it.
Blaze asked, Where's Pinkie Pie? Twilight started, She heard a noise and turned her head to look. One of the donuts had been eaten part way, and after a second, it fell off holding it up. Looks like she's just here.
Well, she eats fast,
Silver noted, looking where the donut had fallen as Twilight, Rainbow, and Sonic stood up, dusted and shook themselves off.
Man, she could be anywhere,
Rainbow groaned. Luna spoke. Well, we have to find her, and soon. Is it not right, sister? Sister? She looked at Celestia after a moment, and found her eyeing the strawberry cake with a smile. Luna nudged her with a huff. Sister? Celestia shook her head and asked, Huh? What? Oh, yes, Luna. You know what you said. The Luna Princess rolled her eyes at that. Fetcher spoke. Well, we better start looking for her then. Anybody got any idea what she likes the most? Applejack said. Glad to help you there, partner. Pinkie loves anything that has sugar in it. It's got something else on it, she loves it even more. There ain't a sweet in the world she don't like. Rarity nuzzed her and smirked. Except for your big bats, she doesn't need anything like this. Applejack lowered her head, gave Rarity an odd look. Sally Tails yelled, Heads up! They're firing more missiles! Everybody, save for Celestia, looked as Sally was right. 5 missiles were being launched, and the one earlier was indicated they were going down right on top of their heads. Let's get out of here, Twilight exclaimed. already turning to run. Everybody did the same and started running along the metal pathway. After a few steps, Luna stopped and looked back to see Celestia staring at the cake once again. Shaking her head, her horn lit up, and her cobalt blue aura wrapped around her sister, pulling her along as Luna turned and started running again. A short while riding, everyone came to a stop, now back on the ground, Frosty started crying before. As they took the opportunity to rest, Spike groaned,
"Whoa, that was close."
Everybody nodded in agreement. Shane looked back down the path and asked, "How did a park like this ever get open with such a clear danger to guests?"
Tails spoke. "First of all, it didn't open. It was destroyed before it was officially open to the public. And second, it's Eggman's park. He'll make it as dangerous as he wants."
Sonic cried, "Great. What happens next?" At that point, the Babylon Rogues! As if to answer her, a voice behind Sonic and Tails recognized spoke. "Well, what do we have here?" Sonic quickly whirled around, towards the edge of the path, and not where the voice had come from. Above the edge, standing green hoverboard, was a familiar green hawk, standing with his arms crossed, and a smirk on his beak. "It's been a while, Sonic the Hedgehog," he stated. "Jet!" Sonic exclaimed. Behind him, a purple hoverboard flew over the heads of everyone else. Flying behind him, coming to the stop just above Tails. The purple swallow on the board looked down and said,
"Long time no see, Shorty." "Leave!" Tails gasped.
Sonic glanced around and noticed there was a familiar face missing. "Hey, do you lose something or someone, Jet?" Sonic asked. The hawk let down from his board, grabbing it as he fell and landing in front of Sonic. "You'll be the one losing something, Sonic the Hedgehog. Especially if those horses behind you are what you call a racing team. They look like they stand on 4 legs all the time. How are they supposed to ride extreme gear?" Sonic replied, "You don't know them like we do, Jet. They stood up on 2 legs before. It shouldn't be too hard for them to learn." Wave, instead of making a remark about what Sonic said, like Jet expected her to, said taking a more scholarly viewpoint upon seeing and Tails' new friends.
These equines aren't just ordinary horses. There are Pegasi unicorns and Pegasus unicorns in that group. Even that orange one looks like something special, and is that a real dragon? How'd you ever come up with proof of the existence of a mythological being, sorry?
Rainbow yelled, "Hey, what are you calling mythological? You don't look exactly too common yourself." Jet said, "Miss Pride Parade's right, Wave. Who cares who's supposed to be made up or not? It's not like there's anything we need to worry about."
Sonic grinned. "You're just gonna go ahead and make that assumption, huh? You're rushing into things like you always do, Jet."
Jet smirked down. "Russ, I happen to be the fastest thing in the universe. And you're going to know it today."
Sonic looked ready to fight at his words. Rainbow looked ready to join him in disproving Jet's claim. Before they could do anything, Wave spoke.
"Enough!"
Sonic, Rainbow, and Jet all looked at her. The swallow still standing on her extreme gear.
"Jet, as much as I'd love to beat Shorty Blue for all time's sake, we still had to fight Storm. We've already agreed not to do anything else until we found him."
Jet complained, "Oh, come on, Wave. We're rogues. Can we bend our own rules a bit?"
Wave responded by putting her hands on her hips, raising an eyebrow at him.
Fine,"
Jet groaned, letting go of his extreme gear, the board hovering as it landed right side up, and he jumped on it. Before leaving, he turned to Sonic and said, "You're getting off lucky this time, Sonic the Hedgehog. Once we find Storm, you're going down." Sonic smirked. "I'll be looking forward to it." Jet growled at that, and he turned away, both him and Wave flying off over nearby ledge on their screen layer. Only later, Applejack asked, "Okay, so who were they?"
Tails asked, "The Jet the Hawk and Wave the Swallow. The third member you didn't see was Storm the Albatross. They're the Babylon Rogues."
Twilight looked at him and asked,
"Babylon? You mean like the Babylon garden you mentioned before?" Tails nodded, "That's right. They're the descendants of the ancient Babylonians."
Fenton growled,
"Too bad those Babylonians are around to teach Jet some manners. He's a snarky little twerp."
Randy nodded. "Oh, I agreed, and he was simply rude."
Rainbow asked,
"Were those flying boards you were riding on?" Tails replied, "Yeah, they're called Extreme Gear, a type of hoverboard. Lake's the mechanical genius behind your Extreme Gear."
Applejack said, "Well, I'm sure you got some extreme gear expertise, Sugar Cube."
Tails rubbed the back of his head. "Well, I do have some experience, but Lane specializes in extreme gear. I do a little bit of everything. I might be able to outrace her sometimes, but as far as being an extreme gear mechanic, I got a long way to go before I'll match her.
Sonic patted him on his shoulder. Well, you're good at it already, buddy. Don't worry about pushing yourself just to be better than her. Shiny cleared his throat. Yes, well, maybe we should get moving. We still have to find Pinkie Pie after all. Sonic shrugged. Hey, we didn't forget about her. We'll find her, even though that'll probably mean turning Sleepy Out Mountain upside down.
Kane smiled. Let's go then. I can't wait to see what else they have here.
With that, the group started off again, moving towards Candy Paradise. After a short while walking on a path coated with real frosting, which Celestia bent down and took licks of, once he thought nobody was looking, Kane slept alongside Twilight and gave her a nuzzle with her left wing. When Twilight looked at her, she asked,
Wouldn't it have been great if there had been a place like this when you were a little fool, Twilight? Think of all the fun we could have had.
Twilight giggled before replying,
That's a nice thought, Cadence, but somehow I'm not sure I would have had as much fun in a place like this as Pinkie is now.
Shiny came along to her other side and said, Hey, I think you would have had a lot of fun, Twilight, especially if I came along. Twilight glanced down for a moment before looking forward and saying,
Well, I don't.
Shiny looked down at her, a bit worried when she said that. Are you okay, Twilight? He asked.
Twilight sighed. She couldn't think of a good way to go about this. She couldn't leave it hanging in the back of her mind forever. No matter how it made her feel, she had to bring it up. She had to take action, or it's unlikely it would ever come out normally. Shiny?
She started.
Oh, look!
Kane spoke, interrupting her. Both Twilight and Shiny looked forward, Twilight's eyes widening at what she had saw. Egg pawns. They looked just like the ones that she and the others had seen earlier, with the exception they were wearing chef's hats and carrying wicks. What confused her? Kane looked at Sonic and Tails and asked,
Do they work for the park?
Sonic, through half-lit eyes, replied, Yeah. They're the clowns that work for the big clown around here. They help him capture aliens so they can steal their energy for his mind control machine. Kane looked at him in confusion. Rainbow looked at him and said, You mentioned rescuing aliens before. What kind of energy do they have that Eggman's so interested?
Tails spoke. That would be the hyper-go-on energy. For the Wisp, it's their life source. It's very powerful stuff.
Owlsack asked, Wisp?
Tails nodded. That's what they're called.
Rainbow looked at the egg pods and said,
Neat. So, let's get busy and bust some butts.
Celestia spoke. I don't think we need to do that, Rainbow Dash. They're just dancing towards us. Indeed, the egg pods were hopping from one foot to another, moving towards the group all the while. When one of them was close enough, it tried to whack Sonic on the head with his wick. But the hedgehog reacted swiftly, reaching up with his left hand, grabbing him by his right arm. Okay, I'm calling it. That was foul play, he said. He yanked the wick out of his hand with his right hand, smacked it across the face with it, knocking the robot back. Rainbow took the initiative and flew at the egg pod, bringing her hind legs up as she got closer, kicking it right in the chest. This action knocked it off his feet, and landed on his back and exploded. Shiny stared in shock. Are they really robot? They really are robots?
No, Shiny. They're fancy, little, fat men who happen to have explosive devices attached to their guts. And they all happen to look the same. They're multituplets.
Real flew back at her and grinned now.
Exploding robots.
The egg pods, upon seeing their play had been foiled, rushed towards the group ready to attack. Sonic leapt at one, landing on his head, jumping off of it, confusing the egg pod while Applejack dashed off and slurred a bug to it. Sonic chucking out another with a homing attack whilst he did so. Tails and Rainbow Dash track team won, both flying into it and kicking it in the face. SBL ran out to one and used a pair of kunai daggers to disable its legs, allowing Silver to lift it up with his psychokinesis and crush it like a can. Blaze and Vector worked together to get rid of several egg pawns. Blaze releasing fire from her hands while Vector could see fire from his mouth. Spike's eyes widened in surprise when he saw that.
Is he part dragon or something?
He wondered. No, Vector says awesome. Also, Vector kicks ass for the Lord. What? I've been dying to use a Vector as a religious person for ages. Missile-defying, Twilight noticed that one of the egg pods tried to sneak away with something in its arms. Quickly deciding what to do, she turned and ran after it. Ignoring her brother's protests, she got within range of the egg prawn and quickly created a horizontal psychic knife with her magic. She released it towards the egg pawn, the blade slicing both the robot and whatever was holding it in half. Twilight looked at him in caring, surprised to see a small,
angry-looking cyan creature floating up from what appeared to be the castle. So he trotted over to it and said,
Hi, are you a wisp?
The creature nodded its head. Sonic and the others came over. All the egg ponds had been taken care of. Sonic noticed the wisp in front of Twilight and smiled. Hey, that's a cyan wisp! The wisp floated over and began flying in circles around the group.
He seems pretty excited and fast.
Twilight nodded. And that's when lasers start ringing out. They look at top of the hill, and there's Whisper.
No.
I just want her here so badly.
First I smiled. He's so cute.
Rainbow and the other looked doubtful.
This is what Eggman has eyes on? This little guy? Tails looked at her and said, well, he was looking to get a lot more than one wisp, but yeah, you want lots of hyper go on Aircy.
Randy raised a hope to her mouth.
Well, he seems rather hyper right now. He's showing us the sanity. Tails said, no. Cyan wisps happen to be kind of excitable, Rarity.
He trailed off as he looked ahead and saw more egg ponds coming up ahead. He pointed, look out, there's more! Everybody looked and got ready when they saw the robots. Suddenly, the cyan wisp floated down on Twilight's face, causing her to look at it. She watched as it floated down and suddenly rusted to her chest. There's looked at surprise as cyan glow up against around her.
Hey, what's going on?
She exclaimed. Sonic said, don't worry, Twilight. Just let it out. Twilight glanced at him and asked,
let it out? How?
Sonic shrugged. How about using your horn? Twilight looked up at it, squeezed her eyes shut, focusing. It was like a rainbow dash got out of the way as she tried to channel her magic into her horn. But something else was filling instead. Suddenly she fired a cyan beam from the tip of her horn. First, it went straight, but as it approached the egg ponds, it suddenly began zigzagging along its path, striking all the egg ponds in the chest and going through to the next one before resuming its straight course after the last egg pond was destroyed. It stopped soon afterwards and the entire beam disappeared. Spike and the ponies, especially Twilight, stared in shock at what just happened. Twilight noticed the cyan wisp pop out of her chest and float away after it waved goodbye to her.
Was that for the wisp?
She asked. Sonic nodded. That's right. You got your first taste of hyper go on Aircy. Those particular aliens does do that. Lasers!
First I looked at Tails and worriedly asked, is the wisp going okay, Tails? Is it a hyper go on Aircy? Is their life force? Tails replied, don't worry, Fluttershy. Twilight just used a small amount of it to do that. Now that he's free, he won't have to worry about having his hyper go on Aircy drained.
Rainbow gaped. That was a small amount of energy?
Tails nodded. Yep, you see why Eggman was so interested in it. That's why he was capturing Wisp. You don't like him either.
Sonic grinned. And here's the kicker. They call him Baldy McNosehair. We're never going to reference that again. Rainbow Dash, Applejack, Spike, Silver, and Vector instantly broke into a fit of laughter at that while Rarity, Twilight, Fluttershy, Celestia, Luna, and Cadence giggled. The princesses using a hoof to cover their mouths and failing to hide their amusement. Even Blaze and Espio cracked a smile at the Wisp's name for Eggman. Rainbow eventually spoke. Baldy McNosehair? Lame!
Tails giggled. I know. We all know.
Applejack grinned. If we see him, we should call him that. Sonic smiled. Yeah, we could. But I was thinking it would be funnier. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not lame. But for some reason, shiny armor is glaring at the back of Sonic's head as he patted his sister on the back, praising her for the use of the Cyan Wisp power. Soon. So, you don't think the magic knife would work? Silver asked while everybody was walking. The Grandpa was still searching for Pinkie Pie, but since the pink pony could pop up anywhere, he decided not to rush it, and instead keeping an eye out for evidence he'd been through the area. Twilight shrugged. Well, it would work, Silver. It's just... Rainbow backed her up. It sounds kind of plain, dude, especially since you've already taken the whole knife thing for yourself. Silver had her hand to his chin. Guess you're right. How about Magic Cutter? Applejack smirked down. Now that's a silly. Silver looked up and asked, what about Monosword?
Tails looked down and said, I think that's alright thinking, Silver.
Silver snapped his fingers.
I got it. Mystic Blade.
Twilight looked at it softly.
Mystic Blade.
Blaze said, seems fitting enough. Luna nodded. Indeed. We shall dump the magic for the psychic knife that, Twilight spoken. Before the unicorn responded, Fireside spoke up.
Excuse me.
Everyone stopped and looked at her. She asked,
does anybody hear that?
Everyone looked at her, listening.
After a moment, SPO said, "Sounds like running water, but different." Stewart was pointing to a guardrail up to the head of the group.
It sounds like it's coming up from over there.
Everybody walked over to a guardrail and looked over it. Below them, they could see what happened to be a river of chocolate flowing beneath them. As they watched, a huge donut came floating by the river.
Is that it? What is it? Twilight asked. Teal said, that donut looked like it had something in the middle. Maybe like one of those river rides where you jump in the boat and go rolling down the river.
Kane smiled.
Since Pinkie Pie likes donuts and chocolate, so you might like to be taking a ride. Maybe we should have a ride too.
Blaze looked down the river and said,
I don't know if we should. Is it safe?
Fetcher shrugged.
Well, that would be dangerous about donuts and chocolate.
Eggman's voice sounded from a nearby loudspeaker.
Due to cost restraints, some of the donuts used in this ride are the day-old variety. We apologize for this cost-cutting measure and hope that you enjoy the ride.
SBL glanced at Victor.
Does that answer your question? Victor replied, Well, I guess so.
Celestia spoke.
Well, we can at least look and see if Pinkie Pie has been around here. If not, we might be able to use this ride to go somewhere on Sweet Mountain.
Luna looked down as another donut floated by and asked,
how do we get on? Teals looked to the side and said, Bet there's a spot further upstream somewhere. Doubt Eggman would set up a ride without including a spot where people could get on.
Slug looked down at the liquid like chocolate and muttered, For once I hope so. The group began heading upstream, searching for Pinkie Pie and or a place to get on the ride. After about a minute, they found a metal platform hanging over the Chocolate River. There was a sign next to it saying, Chocolate River Ride, boarding platform. Seeing there was no sign of Pinkie Pie, they decided to get on the ride. As they walked on the platform, Eggman chimed in from a nearby loudspeaker.
Enjoy the ride, but be careful. The seats can be sticky.
When they reached the end of the platform, they found they were still high above the river. The donuts floating by underneath them.
Are we supposed to jump into the donuts from here?
Twilight wondered. Sonic said, Those donuts look like they hold more than one person. I don't think we could all jump down there at once. Silver asked,
So, how do we get on?
Everyone began to think about this. Scanning. After a moment, a lift rose out of the chocolate, bringing the top of the donut just under the platform.
Huh, that's odd,
Twilight commented. Yeah, why didn't that rise up sooner? Applejack asked.
Rainbow shrugged. Well, it's up now. I guess we can get on.
She flew above the circular donut and found a white floor in its hole. The donut above covered in the center of a circular seat. She called to the others,
Look, seats up, come on!
As the others started to climb into the donut, Rarity spoke.
Well, he said that...
Oi!
Sonic looked back at her and said, no, we're not doing this. We're rolling down the river scene. Let's move. While they were going down the river, Blaze looked around and noted,
This is rather relaxing, actually.
Celestia nodded to her. I agree.
Kane said, Yeah, it is nice. Since we're all nice and close together like this.
She snuggled up against shining armor, the stallion smelling down there and wrapping a hoof around her. Blaze blushed softly at this and just then noticed he was sitting right next to Silver. This caused her to turn a little redder under her fur.
Thank you, God.
As they were going down the river, Spike was saying between Rarity and Rainbow Dash, Look at the donut the group was riding and then said aloud,
You know, this donut is making me kind of hungry.
Rainbow looked down and said,
Yeah, me too. Do you think we'd mind if we ate some of it?
I was not looking at Pegasus sitting next to her and spoke, Rainbow Dash, what tarnation would you go eating something around in? Rainbow waved a hoof.
Hey, I didn't mean eat the whole thing, just a little bit of it. That wouldn't be a problem, right?
Fetcher said,
It depends. Is this a day-old donut or a fresh one? You might not want to put day-old donut in your mouth.
Rainbow replied,
Well, just a lick, Dad. What could be wrong with a lick?
Before anyone could say anything, Eggman spoke up from another loudspeaker.
We know they look delicious, but please refrain from licking the rides. That would be disgusting. Do you know where those rides have been? People have been sitting on those rides with their butts. Okay, go ahead, lick them. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Everybody sat dumbstruck for a moment. Then suddenly Celestia leaned over and started sniffing the seat with interest.
Sister!
Luna whispered embarrassedly. Twilight looked over at Spike and noticed he was licking the outside of the donut anyway.
Spike!
She said. The baby dragon looked over his shoulder at her, holding bits of the donut in his claws.
What? It's good.
He shrugged, looked at Rainbow Dash and asked,
You want some?
Yes, Spike. You're a dumbass. The Rainbow made Pegasus stared at her for a second before saying,
Nothing, Spike. I think I can wait it out.
Spike shrugged and went back to eating. Espial looked away from Celestia and was lifting herself up to sit upright in her seat and asked, "Speaking of which, does anyone know where this river ends?" Everyone shook their heads at that. Cyril spoke.
"Hang on, I'll fly out ahead and see where this ends."
He then focused his psychic powers, a green aura surrounding him, as he looked for the donut and started flying downstream. After Silver left, Twilight looked around the donut at her friends. Fluttershy and Tails were talking, Rarity was talking to the princesses, and Applejack and Rainbow Dash were leaning up against their seats, trying to nap. Twilight decided she didn't want to interrupt any of the conversations, so she turned to the athletic ponies in the bow and asked,
Applejack? Rainbow Dash?
Rainbow Dash waited hopefully to open her eyes.
"Not now, Twilight.
Blaze is right. This is relaxing, and I'm going to enjoy it."
Twilight pleaded,
"But..."
Applejack tipped her head up to look at the unicorn and said,
"Relax, Twi. Donut ain't much of a boat, but it's sure working out here. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. It's all okay."
so she tilted her head back down, covering her eyes. Twilight sighed. She looked down. Sonic noticed this and asked, "Twilight?" Lavender Unicorn looked up out in surprise, forgetting that she was sitting right next to him.
"Oh, sorry, Sonic.
She trailed off, thinking Sonic could tell whatever she was thinking had something to do with her friends. So I guess she thought she would be rude if she tried to get her attention now. She looked up at him and asked,
I was wondering, what was the device you used in Ponyville?"
Sonic replied, "Device? Oh, you mean my cell phone?" He raced into his quills and pulled the black phone out, holding it in front of his palm with his right hand so Twilight could see it. Twilight looked up at it, eyeing the screen curiously.
"Cell phone? What's that? What does it do?" she asked.
Sonic replied, "It's kind of like the radios you and Tails made. Lets you communicate long distances. The difference is radios are short range compared to a cell phone's range. Basically, if I had a friend on the other side of the world that had a phone and I knew their number, I could call and talk to them." Twilight looked down and wondered,
"Wow, and you could do this from anywhere in the world?"
Sonic shrugged. "Well, it kind of requires you to be connected to the wireless network to call someone. That pretty means you wouldn't be able to get a signal to use it." He turned his phone around and looked at it before saying, "Well, you know it. There's no signal here. So I guess Eggman would cheap out on something like that." Twilight looked disappointed at that.
"So, it's useless now?"
Sonic looked back at her and said, "Well, not entirely. Cell phones today have a lot of neat features of insult. Like this." He looked down at his phone and looked at his said finger, around the surface for a minute, tapping a few times before holding it towards Twilight. In a moment, she could hear music. Twilight looked at Sonic in surprise.
"You can also listen to music on it?"
Sonic nodded. "Yeah, that's not all." As they kept talking, Shining Armor glared across the donut at Sonic, the Hedgehog seeming oblivious to the look he was receiving. The young captain had tried to save a seat for his sister when he sat down to separate them, but Cadence had called Celestia and Luna before he could save a spot to his right. Of course, Sonic ended up sitting next to Twilight. It was supposed to get them apart now. His thoughts were interrupted when Cadence nudged him, looked down at her and asked,
"Something on your mind, Shining?"
Shining looked over at Sonic and said, "Even though they just met, that Sonic guy seems awfully close to Twilight. I wonder why." Cadence could only arch an eyebrow and go, "Are you suggesting?" Shining looked down at her and asked, "Can't you tell? I mean, Cadence could only bitch slap Shining Armor for being an idiot." After a minute, she opened her eyes with a frown.
"Odd."
Shining looked at her and asked, "What?"
Cadence replied, "I can't seem to sense anything for Sonic. At all. It's like his mind's closed off so it can't be read. It's something counting Twilight's mind. Don't know what it is, but I can't see past it."
Shining looked at her and said that, "Shining, you finished that sentence and I swear I'm going to let you sleep on the couch." It was cut off when Silver suddenly flew down and landed in the middle of the donut, exclaiming, "Hey guys, I think we have a problem." Blaze looked up and asked,
"What's wrong, Silver?"
"We're about to go over a waterfall." "Whirlpool at the bottom?" "Yep." "Bring it on." Celestia spoke.
"Please, everybody, Luna and I can use our magic together to carry our donut to safety. Just remain calm."
Everybody relaxed slightly as Luna and Celestia stood up, focused their magic into their horns together, wrapping around their donut, while everyone else as the waterfall began to get closer. Suddenly, a platform popped up from the water and knocked them into the air.